of your hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin to such extent that you bleach to get like the white man? Who taught you to hate the shape of your nose and the shape of your lips? Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet? Who taught you to hate your own kind? Who taught you to hate the race that you belong to?
Welcome again to Street Talk. My name is Ahmad Shakaraki. And on Street Talk, we deal with political, social, and economics here in Michigan, the U.S., and abroad. Now, joining me tonight,
Dennis Burnside.
We got so much to talk about, but I heard he's the third of Friday. This guy who did all this lying and going on, and one of the guys who one of the Republicans who supposed to have been in charge of that, he still said, well, they ain't gonna change nothing. I mean,
yeah, Alexander Smirnov has been revealed to be by the FBI a Russian asset who works for Russian intelligence.
Okay.
And if you think back, this goes back 10 years.
Okay.
Because Paul Manafort, who was implicated in the first Trump impeachment, which had to do with the Russian scandal, actually got convicted and was headed to prison before he was given a presidential pardon by a Golf Twitler, right?
Okay.
So this has been going on a long time, and what the Republicans have been doing is ostensibly building a case for impeachment against Joe Biden through his son, saying that this company Burisma gave them $5 million each to as a bribe to do their bidding. Well, it turns out that the entire narrative was created by Russian intelligence. This Smirnov cat was a Russian asset, and he was the sole source for the GOP's claim that there was something rotten afoot and that we needed to have an investigation and an impeachment hearing, because we had Hunter Biden, this nefarious, slick, criminal mastermind, taking all this money from the Russians, and his dad helped him, even though at that time Biden was either the vice president at the end of President Obama's tenure, or he was a private citizen. So the story never did hold a lot of water, but when it was finally revealed, the FBI did not ask for this man to be held in jail. They saw to it that he was freed. About 24 hours later, he's in his attorney's office, probably getting his papers together to get the hell out of here, get back to someplace safe with no extradition to the United States. And the FBI went in there and arrested him. And now they're holding him. And the whole thing is that this effort by the GOP was known by them to be a complete fabrication. So you had Jim Jordan and you had Jim Comey foist this thing on the American public. You had shovelhead Sean Hannity. You had that whole Fox News echo chamber, all the hate radio, hour after hour, day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, saying that you had a problem with the Bidens, Hunter Biden, President Biden, and we need to get to the bottom of this. They had their ratings go through the roof, all based on a lie. So when it was all divulged and it all came out that this guy was purveying Russian intelligence propaganda, straight no chaser, neat, no ice added to the drink, then Fox News moved on to a new lie. And Jim Jordan was quoted as saying, this doesn't change any of the facts. We should still go forward with this. Well, if that fundamental foundation of your narrative is taken away, what facts do you have left? How does this not change everything? And I think for me, you have to ask, okay, are they that stupid or are they that corrupt? Now, if you look at Marjorie Taylor Greene and Laura Boebert and Matt Gaetz and you know, probably a third of that GOP House. Yeah, they are that stupid.
Yeah, yeah.
But the other 2/3, your Jim Jordans and Jim Comey. Well, Comey's kind of dumb too, so maybe
Yeah.
he's a 50-50 mix.
Yeah.
But those guys are just corrupt.
Yeah.
They're doing this for money and power.
Yeah.
And they don't give a damn about the United States of America insofar as the entire demographic is concerned. They've got concerns about their niche
Yep.
and their people, the ones who look like them
Yep.
and think like them
Yeah.
and worship like them,
Yeah.
and everybody else can go to hell.
Yeah.
As far as they're concerned, they'd like to see everybody else
Yeah.
go to hell.
Yeah.
So this is their strategy for hampering Biden's reelection campaign, which takes us all the way back 180.
Yeah.
Because in 2015, late 14, 15, and all the way into the election, 16, we had this entire effort coming up. Do you remember the perfect phone call?
Yeah.
The perfect phone call was Agent Orange calling Zelensky,
Yeah.
the brand new president of Ukraine, and telling him, yeah, we've got the $600 million for you military
Yeah.
aid. This is before the war, the
Yeah.
hot war
Yeah.
started.
Yeah.
They just knew that Russia had ambitions on them
Right,
and that they were in trouble.
Yeah.
And he says, but I need you to do me a favor, though. I need you to investigate Joe Biden.
Yep.
Matter of fact, I don't even need you to really investigate. Just say you are investigating, and we'll take it from there.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah.
That's this whole narrative
Yeah.
coming up to last week
Yeah.
when Smirnoff was found out to be a Russian
Yep.
asset and
Yep.
agent. It's all the same. It's
Right.
all the same story,
Yeah.
just on an elongated timeline, and it shows you that they will do anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just abash lawbreakers with no care for the Constitution,
No.
with no care for the security of the United States. You've got Putin in control of an entire political party
Oh, yeah.
in the United States
Yeah.
of America.
Oh, yeah.
And you can see by the actions, we'll talk about some other things like the border bill and other things, but you can look at the way the GOP votes on key legislation
Yeah.
that most of America wants.
Yeah.
Irrespective of your
Yeah.
political body, you can
Yeah.
see 75, 80% of the people say, yeah, that's a good idea, and they'll vote against it
Yeah.
because Twitler told them
Yeah.
to.
And the thing about it is, look at it right now. They're on vacation
For 2 weeks.
for 2 weeks, and the people who need this money can't do anything now but suffer.
Yeah. Yeah.
They done lost the city in the last couple of weeks. Lost one of the main cities there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the thing is that we see, man, these people, they want Russia to win. They actually want Russia to win, man, because of Trump.
And not for ideological reasons.
Right.
For reasons that have to do with corruption.
Yeah.
Because if Trump wins,
Yeah.
then they win.
Yeah.
And what do they win? They win financial remuneration, and they win more power and leverage.
Right, yeah.
To do the things that they really want to do, which has everything to do with the downfall of black and brown people, of Asian people,
Yeah.
of people who identify transgender, people who identify as lesbian,
Yeah.
gay, or,
Yeah.
or trans. All of those groups are in trouble. I didn't see the show yesterday, but I saw clips of it. And Al Sharpton has a show, Politics Nation, that comes on Sundays.
Okay.
And apparently on that show yesterday, he did an opening salvo against black Republicans who support Trump and said, you should be ashamed of yourself.
They should be.
You should not be able to look in the mirror and put on makeup and shave your face
Yeah.
with what you are an accomplice
Yeah.
to. Here's a man who got up in your face and insulted you
Yeah.
as a black man or
Yeah.
woman.
Yeah.
The lights are so bright, all I can see is the black ones. I
Yeah.
can't see the white ones.
Yeah.
And they laugh and shine and,
Yeah.
scratch where they ain't itching
Yeah.
and rub their heads
Yeah.
and bow down and scrape and
Yeah.
yassa boss.
Yeah.
It's pitiful, man.
Yeah.
And those are his supporters.
Yeah.
And they think, just like the Comers and the Jim Jordans and the rest of them, that they have some kind of fiscal incentive to do this. What they don't realize is if these cats get what they want, and they get the kind of power that they want, if Twitler gets back in the White House, and he's already told you
Yeah.
that he intends to be a dictator on
Yeah.
day one.
Yeah.
We had a high-level Republican operative out there at I think it was at CPAC last week, who stood right up in front of the audience and said, we're done with democracy.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're going to be loyal to this. And he held up a cross.
Yeah.
He said, this is what we're talking about. And what is he talking about? He's talking about Christian nationalism.
Yeah.
Christian nationalism is the same ideology that said, it's a good idea to go to this new land and slaughter by the millions the native people there and commit a genocide because God said that's our new land.
Yeah.
It's those Christian nationalists who said we should go to Africa and we should capture and enslave people and bring them here and let them do the hard labor and work to build our nation because God said that's okay.
Yeah.
So you've got all these coon and Negroes out there who love Trump and think it's all cool and dandy.
Yeah.
Okay. Let him get what he wants and see if you ain't wearing white gloves and a tuxedo on a Tuesday afternoon serving tea.
Yeah.
You're gonna be one of the ones in the house, but you're still gonna be a slave.
It's just, man, it's just really ridiculous, man, when I talk to some of these different young people, man, and they tell me, well, Trump, I did have money in my pocket. It's like, so you voting for Trump because you got a few dollars more,
And that's always a canard.
Yeah, and you're not looking at all the things that this man gonna do to you, He don't even think you human,
Because they're not conducting an analysis based on the issues.
Right.
They're not taking a look at the policies. They're not taking a look at the past performance.
Right.
They're voting based on some kind of visceral attraction to Trump and some kind of notion that they're going to be able to get over just like he did if he's back in office.
Yeah.
But if you ask them, and I've done it several times, white and black Trump supporters, I said, identify for me the policy that Trump put in place that so benefited you. Because when I look at that economy and I look at his performance, I saw an economy that fell off the cliff. And it fell off the cliff because it coasted for 3 years because of what Obama did.
Yeah.
Trump didn't pass any major legislation whatsoever that impacted that outside of a $8 trillion tax cut to the wealthy. That was his one legislative achievement. What did he do? Well, all I know is I have more money. Okay, did you have more money in your pocket? When we found out in mid-February that a highly contagious airborne virus that was lethal was afoot in the world, and we were ill prepared for it, and we needed to take some action, and Trump decided to lie about it. What did he say? He said it's going to be like a miracle. It's just going to disappear. And we lost 1 million family, friends, and loved ones. All of us know someone who passed away who should still be here. So not only did you have all this death and misery, people who are still suffering from long COVID, lung damage, brain damage, unable to go back to work in full capacity, 4 years later. You've got that, but then you also have to look at the economic damage. The country went off a cliff. So I look back to them and I say, okay, I just identified for you what Trump did and the impact. How did that benefit you again? Well, all I know is every time a Republican ran, I got more money in my pocket. And then I say, okay, let's take a look at the current economy. Black unemployment, the lowest it's ever been recorded, okay? Let's look at the stock market for your people who invested in the 401k or have investments through some type of apparatus that you do on your own. Stock market performing off the charts as high as it ever has been. You see our national debt being reduced. You see our trade dominating the world, dwarfing the economy of China, which is our biggest competitor. I mean, you could go on down the line about how the economy's doing and how it's demonstrably, objectively better than it was under Twitler. But then they'll come back, well, all I know is I have more money. So let me guess, man, you was making sandwiches at Arby's and they made you shift supervisor under Trump, and then they demoted you and Biden got in? Is
Yeah.
that how you making less money?
Yeah.
Because otherwise it doesn't make any sense what you're saying.
Right.
But they don't know. They don't really have anything that they could tangibly point to and objectively say, this is what he did and this is how it affected me. They just have this visceral attraction to this con man, who, by the way, when he was making that comment about how he could see the black ones out there, but he couldn't see the white ones, at that very same conference, he said, you know what? They like me because I put that mugshot out there and they bought up all the T-shirts. They like the fact that I've been on the mugshot. They like the fact that I'm in law. They can relate to me.
Yeah.
Oh, so we all criminals now.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We all got cases.
Yeah.
And we look at Trump as a kindred spirit.
Yeah.
It's just so stupid and ridiculous, man. And I'm glad Sharpton said what he said, and more of us need to say that to black Republicans when we come across him. Man, look, you know, I get Tom Strong Williams and cats like that because they become wealthy. I would never do it. I couldn't look at myself in the mirror. I couldn't meditate and ponder my ancestors living my life that way. But some people can.
Yeah.
Okay, at least you can say tangibly they got the vacation home and the big house and the fleet of cars and all that kind of stuff. But these working class supporters, I don't get it, man.
Yeah. You know, and my man from South Carolina, man, he just, I mean, this man is
a disgrace.
Yeah. I mean, here you are trying to make yourself, I guess, invisible. I guess that's what he's trying to do, man. It's like, you're black, man, you know, and nothing you can say or do or anything to change your color. You're black, you know. So why are you out here agreeing with everything that Trump says, you know, and the things that he should be saying? Oh, you know, you don't want to, you know.
Tim Scott is the political version of Stephen, the character from the movie Django Unchained, who was so immersed, so integrated in the enslavement of Africans in that culture in Mississippi during the 19th century, the early 19th century, that he actually saw himself as someone who benefited and should be on the side of the enslavers rather than enslaved.
Yeah.
That's where Tim Scott's coming from.
Yeah.
Tim Scott doesn't have anything other than personal ambition. I think the man wants to be vice president. I think that's what he's really up to.
Yeah, you know, and the thing is that we don't know who he's going to pick, but him and the woman, what's her name? You know,
With Nikki Haley.
Yeah, you know,
she's a disgrace too.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, now she's coming out and she's throwing left and rights at Trump because what Nikki sees is that Trump is probably going to be convicted criminally before the election in November. The odds are, I mean, he's got 3 cases, 2 of them which will probably go to trial before November and be adjudicated with him being guilty. And at that time, you've seen poll after poll after poll of likely Republican voters say that they support Twitler, but if he was convicted of a crime, they would support him. So now you have Nikki Haley. She's just laying in the cut, waiting for that opportunity that she can stand up and say, "I'm the front runner." But let's look at her background. She's a woman who's been walking around talking about United States is not a racist country, never has been, never will be. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, tell me this, Nikki. How come when your parents came here, your father could not get employed despite his sterling credentials at anything other than a historically black school?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
How come your mother, who set up her dress shop, could not find anyone to cater to and come by her beautiful pieces of work, but black women?
Yeah.
It was a black community that supported them.
Yeah.
It was a black community that made them viable.
Yep.
It was a black community that put food in their stomach on both sides.
Yeah.
And as soon as they got enough economic firepower to move on, We ain't got nothing to do with
Right,
them.
right. You know.
They need to pull themselves
Yeah.
up by their bootstraps.
Yeah. You know.
So she's a sellout too, man.
Yeah.
I got no respect for her.
And she don't even. She can't say slavery. You know. She can't say that. You know.
No.
You know.
No. Because that was a long time
Yeah,
ago
yeah.
and didn't have any repercussions that
Yeah,
lasted this
and-
day.
and-
We just whining if we
Yeah.
bring that up.
And what makes me angry, man, is all these people who were done wrong and everything. They can talk about it, but when blacks talk about slavery, no, you know.
Yeah.
You know.
That's old news.
Yeah.
Quit dwelling on the past.
Yeah.
You want reparations? We don't do that. Well, yeah, we did do it for the Japanese.
Yeah.
We did pay reparations to the Jews of Europe who were abused by the Nazis in an attempt to exterminate them. Yeah, we did pay reparations to this group and that group and the other group, but it's just not right that we pay you guys because what they know.
Yeah.
If they had to pay true reparations, it would go into the trillions of dollars.
Right. And some of them trying to pretend, well, they learned a lot from slavery wasn't bad. It was what they learned, you know.
Yeah, that's where history lessons come in. Because I've even heard some black people say that we were Christians over there, but we weren't living. Okay, here's what happened. You had a dynasty called the Songhai Dynasty, which is in present-day Nigeria, Niger, a little bit of southern Mali, a huge geographic area. And they traded internationally. We're talking about the 15th century here. Everybody knows 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue, but that's also when the Pope sanctioned transatlantic slave trade. Well, at the end of the 15th century, you had Muslim invaders who had been there over 1,000 years, still coming into northern Africa, putting pressure on the inhabitants there, enslaving people. And to the south, you had Portugal, you had Spain, and you had other European powers starting to make their inroads into Africa, attempting to exploit the wealth and the very bodies of the people. And you had the Songhai Dynasty, which was still practicing African spirituality, was not adhering to the European or the Arab ideologies, and they collapsed. And when the Songhai Dynasty collapsed, which, by the way, their biggest import, beyond the leather, beyond the raw material, the wood, the precious metals, the diamonds, et cetera, that they exported, their biggest export, their most valuable export, was books.
Yeah.
They would go to an area and translate their language into a written language and make books for the wealthy of those people. That's how uncivilized they were.
Yeah.
So when they collapsed, that allowed for the wanton enslavement of people who had no more defense, no more ability to push back against these enslavers. And so these people came here. They were iron workers. They were farmers. They were leather workers. They were skilled tradesmen. These people had been civilized for thousands of years, and they came through here on the Middle Passage, where anywhere from 60 to 100 million people died, and came here and were enslaved for another 240 years and another 100 years of Jim Crow. And now you've got modern day Negroes talking about, well, at least they brought us here and taught us something. It makes me just want to reach back and slap them so hard, man. It's unbelievable the ignorance you hear out here.
It's just, man, stupidity. How many time we got?
I estimate 10 minutes.
But I just when I see people who just don't know, won't realize, and all these other things, man, it really makes me angry, in a sense, because if you don't know where you've been, it's impossible know where you're going.
Right.
And
those are the people who can sit back and say, yeah, having Trump in office, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
They had at CPAC last weekend, film is now starting to come out of groups of young white men walking up each other, feeling free, feeling uninhibited, feeling perfectly at ease, giving each other the Nazi salute.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And then you've got people like Jim Jordan and Jim Comer,
Yep.
who are supposed to be congressional leaders,
Yeah.
who have no problem purveying Russian intelligence propaganda to interfere in
Yeah.
our elections,
Yeah.
just like they did in 16
Yeah.
and tried to do again in 20.
Yeah.
They have no problem with that.
No.
So when you boil all this down and you get down to the essence of what we're looking at here, we're looking at a right-wing authoritarian movement, which can best be described as Christian nationalism, that is bound and determined to take away the rights of men and women in this country who don't look and think like them. You even had, they're so radical that they're all confused. On the one hand, you'll read where these Christian nationalists say we need to get our birth rate up. Because the birth rate of Europeans all over the world and even here in America is nearly zero. And they're saying we need to get more white babies born.
Right,
you know, they
right.
say that wide out and open, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But then they go so far when you have the Alabama Supreme Court bring artificial insemination, in vitro fertilization to a screeching halt.
Yeah.
And now you've got people like Twitler and others say, wait a minute, hold up now, you went too far.
Yeah.
We need those good white babies to be born through whatever means,
Right.
and now they're all confused. They are so off the rail. They are so far afield of what normalcy is that they trip themselves up.
Well, what we see is that a lot of these people, and see, Trump is thinking, his own, he's thinking one thing, and a lot of people out here who voting for him think that he's thinking something else, And the thing is that all the learning he's got, he got it from Hitler,
Yeah, he used to read. He had Mein Kampf on his book stand, according to his second wife.
Yeah.
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 So, he's not a learned man. I doubt the man read. I really do doubt he read Mein Kampf. I think he probably scanned it and saw some paragraphs he liked. You can tell he's not a well-read man. He's not a read man at all. But he's very perceptive and he's very. He has a keen understanding of how to manipulate the emotions and the ambitions of people. That's why he's a lifetime con man.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because we saw in the Georgia election a case where Trump called in and tried to get 11,080 votes added to his total. The right wing made a big deal about Fani Willis and Prosecutor Wade having a personal relationship.
Yeah. Georgia
law clearly says that this has to be something that is a conflict of interest and affects the outcome of the case.
Yeah.
Well, when Fani got done with them and they got up and put some stakes on their eyes and some Band-Aids on their cuts, it was obvious. Yeah, they had a personal relationship, but it had nothing to do with her taking money under the table or him needing the money. The man showed where he worked for free in many cases. This was just an attempt by the right wing to dirty him up with some salacious allegations and make them look scandalous. And Fani went out there in that hot pink tight dress and had everybody setting up taking notice that this woman was like, nah, I want to talk.
Yeah.
I know I'm not on the schedule, but put me on.
Yeah.
And she told him, he said, wait a minute, you must be confused. I'm not the one on trial.
Right, yeah.
It's those criminals over there at that table.
Yeah.
They're the ones that are on trial. And it completely backfired. Yeah. We'll know by this week, Friday at the latest, whether or not she'll be removed from the case by the trial judge. But it seems very unlikely at this point. But that's just one more effort by them to do whatever they can to take justice off the rails.
Yeah.
Don't let anybody make you think that God chose America as his divine messianic force to be a sort of policeman of the whole world. God has a way of standing before the nations with judgment, and it seems that I can hear God saying to America, you are too arrogant. If you don't change your ways, I will rise up and break the backbone of your power. And I'll place it in the hands of a nation that doesn't even know my name. Be still and know that I'm God.